What's up, guys? Hope everybody had a great New Year's last night. New Year's Eve celebrations. Anyway, 2025 is gone. 2026 is here. And with that, I'm back in the shop. So let's just review real quick where we ended up on this thing, shall we? So yesterday, we started by getting cleaned up and started to organize bolts and stuff, and then we started taking more bolts and stuff out. The plan here was to get access to this cab mount and that cab mount so that we could repair them. In the process of doing that, you can see things like, here's what the underside of the truck and the underside of the cab looks like versus what everybody was able to see. Not great, terrible. So basically I was in here working, getting frustrated, breaking bolts, just trying to get access to the cab mounts at first. And the more I dig, the more I find, which is typically the case with a lot of these cars. Excuse me. Turns out blowing the whole front clip off this truck is going to be better for several reasons. Number one, I was able to find some rust that was very well hidden behind the grill. It's going to be behind this stone deflector here. I call this an apron. Ford calls it a stone deflector. But even more, hidden rust behind panels that we might not have otherwise seen. All right, today we're going to start by, obviously, I'm going to get changed out and get in the clothes that I can destroy without getting yelled at. And then we're going to pull the rest of this front clip off together. Me and whoever's watching. So me. I'm going to yank this off. And that's going to get us access to everything from the firewall forward. Which is going to take a while. But once all of this is out of the way, I've got to start with the bumper. And then do it correctly. Start with the bumper and move my way back. I'll have access to the entirety of the front frame horns from the firewall forward, which means I'll be able to put chassis saver on it and kind of restore the frame, clean this up. That's really gross, actually. Which is going to let us have this truck last for ages after we're done. It's also going to make it a lot easier that when I do get to this, putting the engine and transmission in is just going to be way easier without a front clip in the way, without running the risk of damaging said front clip. It's also going to allow us to do things with the changes we're making. So I'm going to an automatic column shift. So I'm changing the column out. I'm going to have to work that. Having the front clip out of the way is going to help. We're going long tube headers. And we're doing some front accessory drive stuff. So it's going to allow us access to the entire engine the entire time we put it in, and make sure that all the changes we make with like shifter linkage and stuff like that works cohesively together. I'm trying out a shift linkage setup that I've never personally used before. So I don't know if it's going to interfere with long tube headers or not. We'll find out together. If it does, we'll call an audible of some kind and figure it out. So those are all good things when it comes to yanking this front clip off. So what I've got to start with today, after sleeping on it and calming down, which I was not very upset, just I get frustrated when things keep piling up, and the February 14th deadline is slipping away from me, but that's okay. I'm going to start by pulling this fender off, which is going to free up the core support. Then I'm going to switch my attention over to this fender and try to get it out of the way. Well, before I do either of those, actually, I'm going to get this bumper out of the way. Because as you can see, the bumper captures the stone deflector that's attached to the core support, which is captured by the fenders, which captures the inner fender. So everything is laid on top of each other. And before some people get all mad and go, that's just a blah, 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 blah. So manufacturers do that for strength. It does make a better product. It is stronger. It will last longer, obviously. This thing is officially 60 years old. So, as frustrating as it gets, it's all for a reason. So, excuse me, gonna get that off, survey the damage on the core support, but we're not gonna stress ourselves out with that thing quite yet because we've got tons of time with this thing taken apart. What I mean by tons of time is a few weeks. Monday, this guy has to go back to work to his full-time job. So that's gonna mean the videos aren't gonna drop every day. Some of y'all might be ready for a break. For me, I had a lot of fun these last couple of weeks trying to come up with ways to make videos every day, but it is kind of exhausting. So I go back to work, which means work on this slows down to maybe a couple hours a day. Some days I'll just miss depending on what's going on with just life stuff in general, but I'll still try to give you guys 1 or 2 full videos a week with shorts every day, just kind of giving you like daily little tidbits and updates. So I'm gonna get changed, hop right into this, and start yanking this front clip the rest of the way apart. Probably start there and then work our way across. Let's go ahead and get started. Okay, relatively quick. Front bumper's off. Core support slid right out past everything. There it is. So that already opens up so much more workable area. So that's going to allow us, when the motor's built, to just slide it right in there, easy peasy. But the main thing is accessing these frame horns. Really easy because we are going to recoat the frame. We're going to get new core support mounts as well. We're going to coat the frame in Chassis Saver. And yes, Chassis Saver is a brand, I think, or it's a product name anyway. A lot of guys use POR 15 or POR 15 or however you want to call it. I've attempted to use that stuff twice. One time I had okay results, another time terrible results. And when I say okay results, it was like, I wasn't very impressed with the product. So I use this stuff. Same idea. It's a rust encapsulator, but it seems to adhere far better. Price point is similar. Ignore the dented can, that's my fault. And I use the satin black. Comes in a couple different colors. I think you can get it tinted, or you can get a tintable version. But why? It's a chassis. On an old hot rod, it doesn't make sense to me unless you're running like a open engine compartment and your frame rails are showing. But most of those guys are powder coating and stuff anyway. But back on topic. So that's what I use. Obviously, we've got to still clean up the frame as far as getting rid of all the grease and all that stuff, which we will. Truck still rolls pretty good. All the steering's connected to each other, so I can roll it right outside here. The yard that I rent from stores a lot of boats, and they have a boat wash conveniently located like right at the end of the row here, so that's pretty good. I'm gonna get the rest of this clip blown off, and we'll find the bolts for the fender, get it pulled, repeat on the driver's side, and have this front end just neck it. And then we can start stripping off motor mounts. I haven't decided yet which way we're gonna go today. But I'll discuss with you what ways we might go. One way is continue reaching for these, get them pulled out of there, and start coming up with a plan for getting the new ones in, which would include dressing the bottom side of those welds, and getting the floor pans, the patch panels we've done 100% from the backside so that we can coat, which is going to allow us to finish the inside. Good move. The other move is start prepping this to get cleaned up and painted in that chassis saver. Also a good move, it keeps the project moving forward. What I think I'm gonna do is wait till this stuff's done and both of these mounts are out of the way, or on the cab side, because that gives me more access to the whole chassis. The other reason I think I'm gonna hold off on the chassis saver for today is the fact I gotta get it off jack stands and push it over there and I'm alone. That's one. And two, as soon as I put that chassis saver on there, I'm done for that day. That stuff takes a little while to set up and cure, and if we're throwing sparks, it kind of don't make sense to put a brand new coating on. So let's keep pushing forward and let's keep going after these cab mounts, shall we? All right, I've got the core support outside so I can show you guys what I'm talking about. Look how rotten this is. And then all along the bottom here, it was missing hardware and stuff and just flat out rotten. So on the back side here also, flip it up, got a bunch of rust here. So the engine bay stops here. This is what everybody can see. This is behind the passenger side headlight. As you can see, it was only partially refinished, and someone cut the old factory radiator supports out, which is fine. We're not running a factory radiator, but I'm throwing them in the back of the truck because these are actually going to go home with me. Not to do any work off the camera or anything, but because it's a really tight space in here and I don't want things to get more messed up than they already are. And it's going to be a good while before we actually need these again, since we've got to build the engine and get the drivetrain in and all that. With that being said, it gives me time at home to stare at them and think about what I want to do with it. So these core supports aren't too terribly expensive, and the number of modifications to this one isn't crazy. So I got to weigh fixing it versus just buying a new one. But I will tell you this. This joker right here is in bad enough shape and beat to death and cut up and rusted out that we're probably going to get a new stone guard, which is really just a beauty panel, but without it the trucks actually look weirdly incomplete. So I'm pretty much sold myself on just getting a new one of these, because it'll be less work to make an aftermarket one of these fit than it is to fix this one, and I'm okay with the price. They're about $100, but the core support's about $500, so we got some thinking to do on that one. The inner fender for the passenger side, not very bad at all. You know, there's some holes that we want to fix. Obviously these stay. This is underneath the battery tray, solenoid, and these two hold the wiring. This holds the heater hoses if we decide to keep them. But we have little things that will need attention. Oh, sorry about the noise. Backside never got refinished. It's not in bad shape though. We could fix this. We can get new rubber pieces and things like that. So this ultimately easily savable, and we're going to go that route. With any luck, the driver's side is just as good, if not better. And we'll carry on. So I'm gonna hop back in there and pull the driver's side off. We've got a couple hidden bolts on the fenders. I've got to work out how to get out, and then we'll be on to doing actually productive work instead of just tearing the truck apart. Sometimes it'd be like that. Speaking of things that'll add forever to a project, those clips we were talking about yesterday, I've got one way back in there. It's probably near impossible to see, and it has broken off. I'm actually going through the cab to get to this bolt, which is the right way to do it, but the little clip on the back side of this fender has broke off and everything's spinning. So we're gonna fight that for the next who knows how long. That's what was holding the core support on. Just one, not both. So, like I said, everything happens for a reason. And the reason this time was if we didn't take it all the way apart, the truck just wasn't ever going to be safe or done correctly. So I've always wanted to restore this truck since I got it. I guess we're going down that road now. It was just going to be floor pans and an engine this trip, but let's make it a real driver, huh? Driver's side fender is off, inner fender is about to come out. Passenger fender is stuck on one bolt that we're going to have to cut off. Sawzall battery charging. But the driver's side fender is actually super solid. So we're going to be able to save this old girl, get it painted up the way we want, swap out Alex for our twin I-beam stuff, and then we'll have access to the whole front of this truck like we want. So here's the backside inside the fender wells and the whole reason for taking this apart. Here's our cab mounts that we're trying to get to, and here's the patch panel on the floor. So they overlap, obviously, but here's that two-piece design I was telling you about. When we cut the floor out, we pulled this piece of rotten cab mount out. So there's nothing holding here. You can see the jack stand's actually holding the truck up, but you know, these sit on a piece of rubber. There's supposed to be a bolt here, which I didn't remove it. It's long since been rotten. But that door has rotted through. The whole cab mount is just super soft and junk. So they need to be replaced. So getting access to these, you can do it one of a dozen ways. I prefer to get everything out of the way. We're even going to pull off all this old seam sealer here. We're going to go ahead and put new excuse me, seam sealer down. You can see why. These old cars, typically the car is older than those of us that are restoring it, so there's no way to know everything that the car's been through. With that being said, just kind of assume the worst going in. That doesn't make you a pessimist, it makes you a realist. You're always going to encounter things that you're not prepared to see when you first bought the car, and that's just part of it. You either love it or you hate it. I, for one, I still love this hobby. This project is just going to take a little longer than we anticipated. But that's okay. It's still going to get done. We're still here. So I'm going to finish pulling this off. And this should come off pretty quick. I got to get rid of this little e-brake cable that's holding on for dear life. And then we're actually going to have to cut that bolt, I think. I got a couple more tricks to try, but I have my doubts. That clip's just spun in there and it's all mangled and it's just not letting go. So I got the Sawzall battery charging if need be. I think I can get in here and just cut the bolt, and then we'll see how much damage is done to the fender, and then we'll go from there. But after that, front clip's off, we can clean up the wiring and secure it out of the way and get started on our digging out them cab mounts. Driver's side's all removed. Further inspection once everything's out of the way. We got some frame damage to worry about. So this is what rust will do over time. I think we all know that. This isn't a torch. This is rust under the radiator support, eating its way through. So we're gonna have to fix that. We'll pick up some plate steel and we'll just cut in a section here. And the hard part's gonna be getting that hole the right size and in the right spot. But it's a fight we're gonna have to fight. So this is a good thing. It's just adding time. And I'm trying really hard not to start 2026 with a river of tears. But hey, it's gonna be badass when it's done. So take your time, take your stuff apart, actually inspect it. I didn't. I kind of knew there's a little bit. This is more than I thought. Oh well, nobody knew. But now we're in it. We're gonna get through it. Me and all you guys watching. So keep cheering me on. It helps motivate. I gotta go magnet fishing, but it's off and with super manageable damage. And the fender itself overall is in about the same shape as the other one. So both fenders are savable, which is great. And now we can actually get some real work. So I do realize that this whole process for you guys probably took about 2 minutes. I have been fighting the front end of this truck today for about 5 hours. I'm whooped. Probably mess with it a little bit more, but I did promise my wife that we would go get dinner tonight. So probably gonna have to cut out of here pretty soon, which if I do, we'll hop back at it tomorrow morning, first thing in the morning, and we'll get them cab mounts yanked off, and we'll start going after completing a lot of the stuff that we've started, and we'll start repairing the cab. But for now, this is where we've ended up. We've got the whole front clip pulled. We now have very good access to our cab mounts. We're also going to have great access to our steering column base when it comes time to attach our column to our gearbox. We'll have access to the trans tunnel area once our motor's sitting in here for connecting column to transmission and getting all that worked out. Still not 100% where everything's going to line up. The shape of the cab right here may not lend itself to the shift rod that I got. It's just all experimental stuff we're going to have to figure out along the way. But for now, I've got this bad boy tore down, and we can start looking at the next steps and getting realistic about getting this old girl fixed. So tomorrow we're going to come in ready to make a whole bunch of noise, do a bunch of grinding, do a bunch of cutting. Not sure if I'm going to go live. Today would have been a good day to go live. I realize a bunch of people are probably off work today, and it could have been cool, but it was a whole bunch of yelling and cussing and just being angry at a truck today. So for that, I'm glad we didn't go live. So I'm gonna throw this in the truck. That stuff can stay. I've got the core support and both inner fenders and the other fender already in the truck. Take those back to the property. I've got that big shed I built for my wife. She's kind enough to let me use some space in there. Store all that stuff out of the way so we don't damage it. And then we can start getting serious. I'm actually gonna go tonight, and I'm gonna look for some plate for the frame. I thought I had some from an old roll cage, but I can't locate it. On the other side of the Bel Air here, I've got an old roll cage kit, but I don't think I have any of the base plates. And I can't take them from that roll cage because that's going in a Mustang soon. So we'll see. We're in a good spot to call it for the day. Everything is supported. Nothing's in danger of getting damaged. We've made some progress over the last day or two, even though it looks like we're going backwards. We're not, though. I promise. It's all for good reason. So this is going to allow us to do everything we need to do the correct way. And that's what we're here to try to do. We want this thing to last a while. So thank y'all for following along. We will see you tomorrow. Keep wrenching. Keep going. Don't give up. Remember, if you do one thing a day on your project, it can never stall out. So I'm going to go take my wife to dinner, which means I got to get out of this nasty stuff and go put all this away. And we'll be back here tomorrow. So I appreciate you guys following along. I'm sorry that I haven't been able to make the progress that I had hoped. But like I said, we've got a couple more days in here all day. We'll see what we can get done. If we can get the cab mounts done this week, that is huge, because then we can start focusing on that over there, which is fun. Again, next week, the rapidness at which I post videos is going to drop, because it might take me a couple days to get enough content to show you guys any kind of progress, because I go from being able to work in here 6 to 7 hours a day to 2 or 3 a day. So it might take a couple days to compile a video, but we got a few more days of a video every day. So thanks for taking the ride with me. See y'all tomorrow. I'm gonna cry soon if I don't get to start putting the truck back together. Damn frame's starting to rust. So I gotta go find some plate material for that. Also, this just keeps going longer and longer. But now I have access to the stuff I'm trying to get to, so that's good. In 2 weeks I was supposed to be done with the metal work. I'm doing it wrong. I got the floors in and I keep finding more and more rust. So now I've got to plate the frame here. Still got to do the cab supports. Got the whole front clip off. Fuck me, man. I don't think Valentine's Day is gonna happen. This bitch is gonna ride by my birthday, damn it.